What's going on, you guys? It's your man, the Grass Ninja. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I want us to focus on the ending of Chapter 13 of Two Blue Vortex. So, at the end of Boruto TVV Chapter 13, we got the cliffhanger set up for the newest Shinju that's going to be created with the Thorn Soul that was harvested by Matsuri, Jorah, and the rest of the crew as they prepare to create a new member of their team, the newest Shinju. Now, on surface level, you would imagine this new member is going to be the Shinki variation that we saw earlier in the same chapter as Kashin Koji looked into the various possible future realities, and we saw not only the original 4 Shinju, but also a new member who's yet to be named, who resembles Shinki. Now, there's some debate out there, people saying it's Naruto, doubt it, but at the end of the day, we have a new Shinju variation out there, and this chapter ends with a new Shinju being created. And it feels weird that they would leave this cliffhanger here and not show us who it's going to be if it's just going to be Shinki anyway. So in chapter 14, as we jump into it, we're going to be dealing with a couple of situations. Boruto being arrested and the Shinju creating a new member of the squad. Now, if this new member is indeed the same Shinki that we saw in the Visions of the Future by Kashin Koji, then, whatever, we saw it coming. But Kishimoto and Ikimoto don't usually write the story that way. A ninja is meant to see through deception, so why would they hype it up with a cliffhanger if it's going to be someone we already saw? So what are the chances that this is actually intentional, it's meant to subvert our expectations, and we're actually going to get the reveal of a brand new character, a brand new Shinju that we haven't seen yet, that isn't actually the Shinki variation? Now, I've seen some conversations being thrown around saying this new Shinju isn't even going to be Shinki, it's going to be Kakashi or Orochimaru. And as those characters would be interesting, I feel like they'd run into the same problem as Sasuke's Shinju variation, Hidari, where you look cool, you seem cool, but then in battle, you kind of suck. And I don't want to diminish any greater characters like Orochimaru or Kakashi by having a Shinju created with them, and they don't even know how to fight like the host that they're created from. So let's talk about, real fast, the man that's on the thumbnail, the man that's been absent for around 10 or so chapters now, the man that created the claw grimes and made all of this possible. Let's talk about Code and how it's very possible that right now, the direction that they're pushing his character into is going to be that of him actually being attacked by the Shinju and the claw grimes, and him becoming a new member of their squad, right? Because at the end of the day, the last time we saw Code was in chapter 4, the very same chapter where the Shinju made their debut, where we saw Mamushi, Matsuri, Hidari, and Jorah all face off against Boruto and basically force him to retreat. Now, in this chapter, right, we learn that, for one, the Shinju are all connected by physical means. They're all technically the Ten Tails or the Divine Tree, but intellectually, they all have their own emotions, their own memories, their own goals, which is why they have different targets, right? The feelings that Matsuri can pick up on for the hatred and rage that Konohamaru and Team 10 have towards her isn't something Jorah has access to, right? All the confusion of his own identity in Hidari isn't something that Jorah has access to. So they're all independent in mind, but together they're connected through their body. So the man that made that possible was Code. And Code, like I said, has been absent for quite a while. And it's been so prevalent that in the recent interview that was held in France with Kishimoto and Ikimoto, the guys behind the Boruto and Naruto story, they basically touched on Code's character. And we learned that Kishimoto himself originally wanted to just kill off Code's character so they could write him out of the story. But Ikimoto pushed back on this, saying that he has plans for Code, and we're going to have to wait and see. And we've waited 10 months now since we last saw Code. And if it wasn't for him manipulating the Ten Tails, infiltrating Konoha and the rest of the world with them, having those claw grimes eat people, the Shinju wouldn't be here, right? So, could it be that Ikimoto is setting up Code and all of the losses he's been taking, the L after L that he's been taking, his final L will actually be getting eaten by the Shinju he created, and then they can flip that into a W for Code because his Shinju variation will just be that doggone nasty. I'm talking about actually powerful, not some Hidari Sasuke ripoff where I can use the jutsu of my host, but I'm not good at it. I mean like Code with the white karma seal, the ability to morph his body, the claw marks, the mastery of the claw marks, as a Shinju along the side of Jura and everyone else. So, why would the actual Shinju go after Code in the first place? The main thing is that Code is actively connected to the rest of the Shinju by the very claw marks that they all use as their signature technique. So the claw marks are basically gateways or portals that they can use to travel through dimensions, through space, right? And if the Shinju can use these claw marks and Code can use these claw marks, it's only a matter of time before they cross paths or one of them decides to invade the other's premises, right? The claw marks have that black cube at the base of the Ten Tails roots, and they use it to repair and rejuvenate themselves, and they use it to cultivate new members for their cause once a Thorn Soul actually sprouts. But that black cube itself acts as a claw mark, meaning Code could very well enter their premises whenever he wants to. Now, with Code's character design, he also has a claw mark on his forehead, which he uses to pull whatever he needs to pull out of his head for whatever the story deems necessary, right? We've seen him pull Damon out before. If he wanted to, he could slip claw grimes out from his forehead, or the actual Shinju themselves could just pop up on him at any point in time. So both of them are actively connected to each other in such a way where it's only a matter of time before they end up bumping heads or one or the other needs to interact with each other, okay? And then we also know Code is one of the only other people who are also alone and actively against Boruto. Like, Kawaki has all of Konoha, Konoha has Kawaki. The Shinju are their own unit. Physically, they're all one person, but in their mind, they have their own independent thought. They've evolved to the point where they're not just the Ten Tails anymore. They're people with identities. They have their own cause, and it kind of lines up with Code's mission. Code's mission is to create the God Tree and destroy the Otsutsuki on the planet, killing Kawaki and Boruto and everyone else on it. The Shinju have that same plan, to the point where even Jura right now has created the exact same plan as Code. Kill Boruto, feed Kawaki to the Ten Tails, create the God Tree, destroy the planet. They're identical. So them working hand in hand, or at least one of them attacking the other so that they don't have any other obstacles in the way of their goal, meaning Jura and the Shinju go after Code so that he can't get in the way, spoil their plans, or basically steal their treasure, which would be the chakra fruit. They could do that because they have the necessary motive to do so. Code could get in the way. Code could do the very same thing. As soon as they accomplish the goal, like he said they would, oh, they're gonna just do my plan for me? Word, I'll be there as soon as the chakra fruit pops up. So there's gotta be some kind of tension, some sort of friction there, right? So the story is setting it up. But we have this interesting dialogue between Jura and Mamushi in chapter 13 at the very beginning, where we learn that Matsuri was actually investigating Boruto's hideout or information. She's just out there doing reconnaissance, and she discovers that somehow Boruto has an accomplice who's providing him with information which is how he knows about the Thorn Soul, which is how he knows that the Shinju were going to manifest originally, which is how he knew how to get to the Ten Tails dimension. The person he's working with, we know, is Kashin Koji. The only other person we can suspect, or the only other person we are confirmed to know, is Kawaki, as he literally just arrested Boruto and took Kashin Koji's toad and confirmed that it was indeed Kashin Koji that Boruto has been working with. But the only other person that we've seen actually spot Boruto's toad summons, or Kashin Koji's toad summons, was Code in chapter 4. After being hit by the Uzuhiko, he retreats to the Ten Tails dimension after Boruto has already planted one of the toads on Code, and that's how he teleported to that dimension. And then, while under the effects of Uzuhiko, while his mind is still spinning, he said, where did this toad come from? Now, if Kawaki, who is basically a member of Kara, grew up at the behest of Jigen, got bullied by Code, also knows what Kashin Koji's moveset is like, then Code, the right-hand man to Jigen, should be able to identify that that's Kashin Koji's toads, since one, they're talking, right? And two, they're literally being used the same way Kashin Koji would use them. So, Code has seen Boruto's working with Kashin Koji's toads per se. He might not have pieced it all together, but he can tell that that's Kashin Koji's equipment at the very least. And if Matsuri is out there trying to gather information, one of the best people to go to would be the guy that created them. What do you know about this world? What do you know about Boruto? What should we be looking out for? Or I'll kill you. Something along those lines. And then he can just say, you could kill me, or you could keep me alive because I know Boruto's actually working with someone. And from what we've already seen, that someone is Kashin Koji. Now, Code is out here. How did you get here? Where did this toad come from? And then he gets the Uzuhiko rescinded. And once he's back to fighting condition, he's actually strong enough to react to Hidari's surprise attack. He pops out of the claw marks, tries to chop off both Boruto and Code's head, and they're both able to dodge. So at the bare minimum, he's fast enough to react without using claw marks to Hidari, right? Now, I'm not sure what the power ranking is between Mamushi, Matsuri, Hidari is, since we know Jura's the strongest. Not sure what their ranking is, but with Hidari being based off Sasuke, and Matsuri being based off Moegi, Mamushi being based off Bug, the strongest person in that list is Sasuke. So you could imagine Hidari is obviously the next in line as the strongest person. And Code was able to react in battle with him. So if Matsuri pulled up on Code, it might not be that difficult of a fight, especially since Boruto, Sarada, and Konohamaru were easily able to take down Hidari, right? And they're only using claw marks and claw grimes, things that Code has mastered and has been working with for years. So this whole negotiation could come into play where they actually end up working together, but on the off chance that they don't work together, what if Code actually gets taken down, gets overwhelmed? He can't run away with the claw marks because the Shinju and the claw grimes can use the claw marks and follow him wherever he goes. Let's say he actually finally gets captured and eaten and turned into a tree. The very next step is his Thorn Soul will sprout somewhere underneath the Ten Tails, and they'll be able to use that to create a Shinju. Now we're back to full circle. If Code did get captured, did get taken, became a Shinju, how powerful of an adversary is that? Because, for one, if we just did the power ranking, where it would be Hidari, Matsuri, and then Mamushi, Code was able to successfully take down Sasuke. So full power Code getting turned into a Shinju would boost him right there above Hidari, questioning how strong Jura really is, questioning his identity as a Shinju, possibly wanting to just say, screw finding an individual target, I want Boruto, messing with Jura's plans. So having Code be a wrench that's thrown back into the story, who becomes a Shinju, he could be that undermining presence that member that actually double crosses the rest of the Shinju, causing for the possibility of, like, he can now, for one, cultivate the divine tree, being Otsutsuki enough to actually eat the chakra fruit, which was a main problem with his plan regardless, and then also be powerful enough to again be threatening to Boruto, who already one-shotted him before. So at the end of the day, Code jumping back into the story is something we're expecting to see. Kishimoto and Ikimoto worked on a plan to keep him in the story. He has knowledge of Kashin Koji being active with Boruto, and the Shinju now know Boruto has an accomplice, right? He's actively connected to the rest of the Shinju, so they're gonna have to deal with him eventually. Who's to say they haven't already done that off screen, and he's the new Shinju that's popping up in chapter 14? Because like I said, it could be Shinki, but it's weird that they left a cliffhanger there that's just gonna be set up for someone we already saw earlier in the chapter. So it could be a subversion of expectation, and we actually get to see Code pop up as the new Shinju. We get a backstory on how he got captured, and then we figure out that they're laying the groundwork for him to be the inside person who actually betrays and goes against Jorah at the end of the day. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Is it possible that the new Shinju is actually Code? Or do you think it's going to be Shinki? Or do you think it's going to be Kakashi? Or Naruto? Or Orochimaru? Or some other person? Maybe that first guy who saved Sarada, who doesn't have a name or any relevance other than saving Sarada. But I'm curious to hear what you guys are thinking in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I've been your man, the Grass Ninja. Have a nice day. Peace.